Hi everybody, welcome to my restaurant live. And no, hang on a second. I am on the nth degree live. Am I, or am I on my own live? Just 1 minute. Which one am I on? Hello everybody, by the way. I think I'm on the right one. Gosh, nobody's here to look after me today, that is for sure. Claire, am I on the right one? Well, lots of people are joining me, so I presume I am on the right one. I've got Matt Tebbutt today. Matt, there you are. Matt, there you are. Thank goodness for that. Well, that's a good start. Hang on a second. That's a good start. I'm all on my own here. So let's have a look. Matt, which is great. I press you there. I need you to join Matt. Just a second. Where are you? Hang on a second. Matt, you can see me. I just need you to press the request form, which is wherever it's gone. Why is that? Ah, here we go. Matt. Matt, add Matt. Always worrying. Always worrying. Always worrying. Hello. That is always worrying. I am on my own here. I'm like thinking, oh my God. Normally Donna's here with me.
Is that good? Can you hear me?
It's good. It's perfect. Yes, it's fabulous where you are. Where are you?
I'm in my kitchen. Can I open this now?
You can open it. Well done, Matt. You've got it all sorted out.
Marvelous.
This is mine. Here, I've got mine here. How are you?
This is very nice of you. Thank you very much for sorting this.
Lovely. No, it's perfect. This is like, now, well, normally you have to give it to everybody else and I'm giving it to you. So
That's it's very kind, very kind. It's a perfect day for it as well.
Well, it is a perfect, you're down in Wales, aren't you?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I've locked everyone else out. So I can be candid.
Okay, well, that's good. Well, Matt, well, wonderful.
Cheers.
Cheers. Wonderful. Lovely to see you. Lovely to thank you for joining me.
A pleasure. Pleasure. Absolutely.
Lisa, Lisa has been amazing. She's been, I know that this week it was on, it was off. There were other things going on.
Yeah, it was interesting couple of days.
Interesting couple of days.
We're through that.
Please, and the last time I saw you, of course, was at the gala, at the Restaurant Association gala.
Yeah, that was at the Savoy, right?
Savoy, and you know, it seems like forever ago, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, and if we knew this was around the corner, we could have had very different conversations all evening. But thankfully, we didn't. So no, it was a great night, and yeah, full of the great and the good. I had a lovely table actually. I had a right laugh on my.
You know what? The way I run these events is I'm very conscious of, and I'm seeing Brian Turner tomorrow. Funnily enough.
Oh yeah, give my love.
Yeah, I'm going to play some golf with him actually, which would be lovely. The weather's going to be scorching, so. But I'm very conscious when you do these events. It's a bit like a wedding, you know. If anyone's watching out there, when you do a wedding invitation, try and keep people together that they know because they're going to have a really good time. I'm always, if anyone's out there and they've got this plan, but I'm always worried when, we're going to split everyone up so they can all meet each other.
Yeah.
So what I do, this is my way anyway, when you came there in February and you sat down with Claude and with Brian and with Martin Nail and all the other guys and Ainsley and everyone else, you know you're going to have fun.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I want you to come to my events and have fun. And I've ran thousands of events over the years in my hotels and restaurants that I sort of know how they should work. Anyway, I'm really good. It was great to see you there. We did a wonderful award for Brian Turner, obviously, as you know, tonight.
Yeah.
And Jeff Martin was brilliant to present it. And Brian didn't know at all.
Yeah, he was very emotional, as I seem to remember.
Emotional.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Wales, the weather's good, and you were in Dartmouth last week, I believe.
Yes, I lost about 5 days in Dartmouth, which is usually the case. Are you familiar with Dartmouth?
I very much so, yeah.
I absolutely love it. We always have such a good time down there. We've got quite a nice sort of group of friends now, all being led by Mitch Tonks,
Yeah.
who is never far away from a bottle of Armagnac or Grappa, or just something to lure you in, really. Just when you think you've had enough from the night before and you're going home, which was the case on Sunday, there you are. Let's have a restorative Guinness. And then one thing leads to another, which leads to a massive Chinese takeaway in the evening. And there we are, we're still in Dartmouth. So no, it's great fun. I absolutely love it down there.
And so the lost 5 days because you can't remember the 5 days. Is that what you mean?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, I lost them in a good way. But yeah, no, it's always fantastic to get down there and see these guys.
So Matt, I want to ask. I've got some wonderful questions for you. Just simple questions. This is super relaxed. And again, I thank Lisa very much for all the sort of bits and bobs that we've been doing. So a bit about you. You know, we see you on the TV a lot now. You seem to be, you've become the sort of main presenter of Saturday Kitchen, but you seem to be now, that is, you're the anchor man as such. But before that, and I know you did other bits of TV work, but before that, where did it start? I mean, I know you did some stuff with Marco. That must be an interesting experience.
Yeah, that was my first job. It was a change of tack. I always wanted to go into the Air Force, and so in university I went off and did a degree just so I could sort of get in there. And I got into what they call the Air Squadron, and on your days off from college, they used to teach you to fly, which was amazing. And all on taxpayer. Thanks very much. So
you did learn. Did you learn to fly?
Yeah, I did. It was great. Couldn't recommend it highly enough. It was fantastic. So anyway, so that was the kind of the drive at the time. And then this was about sort of early 90s. And I had a girlfriend at the time in London, so I used to jump on the bus, get up to London, and suddenly Soho was coming live with restaurants. The one I particularly remember that just set up was Anthony Worrell Thompson's Deluga, which was a bit, I mean, that guy has always been ahead of his time. Everything he's done has been ahead of his time by about 10 years or more. It was a fantastic restaurant, set over 3 floors, different offerings on each. And then there was, I remember there was the Milk Bar nightclub, there was Soho, there was Ronnie Scott's, obviously that hasn't changed much. But suddenly that whole kind of scene and London dining scene suddenly became much more exciting.
What year are we now?
We are early 90s, we're probably 92, 93.
Right, okay, yeah.
Something around that time.
Yeah.
And suddenly my focus sort of switched away from wanting to fly fast planes to maybe let's get into cooking. I've always been into food. I was always greedy as a child, and I got into food on our sort of family holidays when we used to spend 2 weeks in a little caravan in Normandy or Brittany or something like that. And I still remember today, you know, the amazing fish soups and garlic and snails and just great bread and all the things that weren't really available in this country during the kind of the mid-late 70s, you know. So I've always kind of had a fondness for food, but then the kind of the theatre of restaurants took over. So I left university, I went to London, I did a year of Prue Leith's course, which was brilliant. And I'll challenge anyone who says catering colleges are a waste of time, which was the case when I joined restaurants. And then I wanted to work for Marco because of White Heat, like so many young kids at the time. And if you speak to a lot of my sort of contemporaries, they will all say the same. That book drove people into work.
Yeah.
Because it looked rough, it looked tough, it looked like joining the army, it looked brutal, it looked exciting, there was camaraderie there. And do you know what? It delivered all of the above. It was phenomenal. So I had to go and see him, work for him.
Fantastic. That's amazing. I've been shooting with Marco. He is an extraordinary character. He was ahead of his time.
Yeah.
Anthony was obviously at the gala. I've known Anthony for forever years. When I joined the Restaurant Association in 1992,
yeah,
there forever years. Anthony was the vice chairman at the time, and
right.
he was part of the big group. I can't remember the name of the company now at the moment, but anyway,
Yeah.
but it was at the Atrium. So, and
Right.
these guys were were drivers, were leaders. And if you like, where we've come to in this incredible journey that we've been through, and food is still the number one. I was just doing something with the World Avocado Organization, and I was a guy from this super chap from social media.
Yeah.
And food right now, we've just been in lockdown, of course, but it's by far the number one on social media. That's by miles. Next are, so I keep my social media going. Next are dogs and cats. So we always have a dog. But it's fascinating how those early days, and they're not that early. I mean, we can go back with the Turners, and we can go back to the 80s and the 90s and the Mosselmans and the Edelmans and all of that. I know we can.
Yeah.
But the transformation with these rough diamonds, these guys, the Marco's coming in, and Anthony would never say he was a rough diamond, but he was there. He was, I did say, ahead of his time. So that was fascinating. So you went from there. Did you do something with Alistair Little?
Yeah. So I did a spell with Marco, and then where did I go then? I did a short spell at Chez Bruce. God, I'm having to
do you know
around here.
I love
which I have to say was the food was incredible. I learned so much, mainly through a guy called Ollie Couliard, who was a French fella who just come from working from Chevau's.
Right.
And suddenly you went from Marco, where everything was kind of it was very orchestrated, it was very measured, and everything was disciplined, to suddenly there's this French guy sticking his finger in tortoises and going, yeah, you need more of this, you need more of that, taste things, try things, blah blah blah. It was much more kind of all about the taste, and suddenly it kind of, the world opened up in food terms, because it was less disciplined, I suppose, in terms of, well, of course, I did a stage at Mosselmans, for example, and I remember talking to one of the chefs, and he said, this Caesar salad has something like 2.5 twists of pepper. And I wanted to kill myself, because that as good as the food might be, that to me is just, you lose the essence of cooking.
Yeah.
I mean, each their own, obviously, but that sort of discipline wasn't.
I got a message, somebody just coming from Vancouver. Hi from Vancouver. Well done.
Hello, Vancouver.
But when you think about also, oh, hi, Matt. You don't know me.
You know my auntie.
Oh, well, tell us who you are.
Do I indeed? Let's keep that to ourselves.
But
cheers.
So of course, with Shekhar, cheers. Probably best to know who the aunt is. Anyway, so I was going to say, I've lost my. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So of course, being at Chez Bruce, which is Bruce Paul.
Yeah.
That was, of course, the old Marco site.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Not that I'm a stalker, but yes, and some of the stories that you would hear, of times when it was Harvey's were, probably unrepeatable. But you were caught up in a different time. You can't. It was a tough business, as it still is. Yeah. But it was, I think it was a different league.
I mean, I started way before that, a long time ago, when it was a different world.
What, with the tall hats?
Tall hats, a long time ago. I won't go into all my history, because otherwise it's all about me, and and everyone hears me all the time. You had the most wonderful array of chefs, and I'm so pleased, and thank you for coming on. Bruce Paul is a great friend. He was he was one of my judges of Young Chef, Young Waiter. We're going to come on to that a bit later. But, Bruce, even now, with, he has I hope he still has the Glass House and the one in Chiswick. Yes.
Yeah.
Each one having a Michelin star, 3 individual Michelin stars, you know.
Yeah.
And I used to I really respected him, very low key, but really super guy, you know, a bit of a Philip Howard in that mode, you know, ride the bike, you know, the motorbikes and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, yes, he was. And it was, I honestly, in my short spell there, I learned an awful lot. And then I thought, right, I want to see something new. So I was very kind of nomadic, which maybe wasn't the best plan looking back. But I was always kind of restless. I wanted to move on. So I then went to work for Alistair. And I started as Soho and then ended up at Lancaster Road. I did about 2 or 3 years with Alistair on and off. But he, again, was a totally different character. Here was a guy who was super intelligent and came into cooking from a different angle. You know, he would look at things in a totally different way than any Marco or Bruce would. And I always remember him coming down the stairs one day with a box of really good tomatoes, a bottle of really good olive oil, some red wine vinegar, and a bunch of basil. And he made, and I was never a fan of it, he made the most amazing tomato soup I've ever tasted. I can still taste it now through such simple ingredients.
Yeah.
And that was his thing. That was his key, was just great ingredients, treated properly and intelligently. You know, he looked at food and he researched Italian food. I mean, I've had chats with Matthew Fort since, who said that at the time no one could touch Alistair for his knowledge on Italian food.
Amazing.
So you know, on a personal note, I thought he was a lovely guy as well. Really nice guy to work for.
And so this all took you do you still have the pub? Is it Fox Hunter, wasn't it?
Yeah, we still own it. I'm not part of it anymore. We had it for 14 years. And it was good. It was tough. I won't lie about that. Because we weren't where we were. It was a very naive move. We were to the middle of the country, where if you look on Google Maps, you go, okay, that's why we're busy on a weekend, because there's literally no one who lives around the area. So we used to incredibly. Sorry.
What was it? I can't even begin to pronounce the location.
It was Nancy Derry.
Is that how it doesn't? However, it's spelled, or I couldn't.
Yeah, it doesn't look like that. It is Nancy Derry. It was the Fox Hunter, and it was great. We wanted that, you know, that European kind of lifestyle. I mean, we drove before we set the place up. We drove around France, stopping at those little family-run restaurants where the kids were running around, slightly feral. The husband was in the kitchen. The wife was out the front, you know, calling the shots. The food was brilliant, but rustic. You know, you might get the most beautiful foie gras terrine, but it wouldn't be a perfect Michelin slice with jelly around the outside and a piece of toasted brioche. It would be from a Kilner jar on the plate. With great chutney. It was amazing. And I thought, do you know what? This is what I want. It was kind of, I wanted that Michelin knowledge. I wanted the you know, the depth of cooking, but not done in that fashion. I knew that from the week 1 working with Marco, when my job was to split French beans into 4 to decorate a plate, which I would then see coming back. The terrine was perfect, was eaten, and the beans were left. And then my whole job for 16, 18 hours a day was like, straight into the bin. And okay, you know, let's relook at this. So that wasn't for me.
And so, but I think, you know, we have seen, so you went, you know, we started just a minute ago in 1992, and we've gone right through. I had Atoll on Tuesday, and we were really looking at how that hit the Indian cuisine in 2001. Yeah. And I don't know whether you saw it, but it was amazing. And this is what, by the way, I love doing these. You know, with you guys, I've had the most amazing experience of myself in lockdown, doing my own cooking, finding my love for food again, finding enjoyment of produce again, and getting it again. Because I like you, started restaurants. I had a number of restaurants, and then I started cooking, and you're under pressure when you're running your own restaurant, and I said you cook for money because you've got to cook to pay the mortgage, and if you produce something that you really like and nobody buys it, you can't do it.
Yeah, which was frequently my problem. And then you end up giving it away, and you look great, like a perfect host, but in fact, it's because nobody wanted it. Who knew that nobody wants calves' brains in Wales? My wife, that's who.
Yeah, well, you're supposed to listen to them. And he was saying that his father, what I've loved about this, and whether it's been Tom Aikens or Jason or somebody's come up with something that they've said to me, and I remember it. And he said his father came over in 2001 when he was at the Tamarind in May, and he said, come over here, son. And if you're watching, it was such a lovely time. Come over here, he said. So, why are you cooking Indian cuisine in London? Why are you doing everything that you do at home? Why are you not looking at the produce you can get here and then use your knowledge to create the flavors that you? And Atul said, well, absolutely. And like within a year, he got a Michelin star, but he was going to find hand-dyed scallops in Scotland.
Oh, really?
Fell in love with our produce over here because we have an abundance, amazing produce.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I've suddenly gone from my early days, my first restaurant opened in 1980, to now doing my food and going to my farm shop and looking at the onions and getting pleasure on lovely onions. Where have we got here? It's been a pleasure listening to you both, but it's almost midnight down here in Australia. Oh, well, whoever you are.
Australia, huh?
So much for listening. No, we'll see. You can pick it up on IGTV. I've got all the technology now in my head. Anyway, let's move on. Let's go on to Saturday Kitchen. I've got some lovely questions for you there. So you, as I said, you've become seem to be now the main presenter. I don't know, by the way, whether that's as it is, but you seem to be. It's very good. You've worked now through lockdown. Of course, it's been quite an interesting experience, I'm sure, for you. Yeah. Okay. Working through and how you've done it, which I think, by the way, has been brilliant. I'm giving, it's been very, very interesting watching you keep your distance and try and cook together with other chefs. Obviously, we limit the amount of chefs, or you limit the amount of chefs that come on.
Yeah.
So give us a little bit of the insight in that, because it's obviously relaxing a bit. I notice now that you can, although you're doing the best bits now, but you can get a few more people on.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. It's been really challenging, I won't lie, because we started with one chef, and obviously the wine, Ollie or Helen are on the Zoom, as is the guest, and it's do you know what? As good as the guests are, you do lose a percentage of personality when you're talking to screen, because the way you handle Zoom and the way you can't speak over them is very tricky, especially if you have someone say something very funny and you automatically want to come back and react,
right?
But you can't because of the delay, and it all gets a bit awkward. So those are the kind of the challenges with Zoom. Yeah, I mean it's I'm thrilled that the BBC wants to keep it going. I think people were very happy. I've had a lot of people say, thank God, because it was a sort of sense of normality, I suppose, during this this strange time. So it's been great in that regard. However, there were challenges. The crew, we all had to keep away from each other. And after a show like that, we're quite a kind of gregarious mob. So ordinarily, in good times, we'll do a show, and then we all go down the pub, and we all sit there around a table, and we'll talk about the show, we'll talk about what's been going on, we'll talk about next week, and we all have too much to drink, and it's great, and it makes us very close-knit, very tight team, which makes the show easier. This is how I justify it, because it makes the show easier if I'm standing up in front of a camera. I'm kind of talking to them, because if you thought you were talking to, X number of millions of people,
Sure.
it's slightly terrifying.
Yeah.
To say the least, because I would still struggle to do your job, for example, and stand up in a room like at the Savoy and talk to a crowded room who are looking at you, because the ones you look at are the ones that distract you. All the ones who are looking at their watch, or they're leaving to go to the toilet.
Yeah, but
and automatically you think, I'm boring everyone. So I can't do that. That terrifies me. However, I can stand with 6 guys that I regularly, share drinks with and talk to them.
So so that's really interesting. You say that. Isn't that strange that I've done so many of those? Somebody, by the way, just said something really nice. I love watching Saturday Kitchen. It's my favorite show. Oh, that was Charlotte. Hi, Charlotte. It's my favorite show. Hate it when I work Saturday mornings and miss it. Oh, well.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Thank you,
Cheers,
Abby.
cheers.
Charlotte, thank you very much. So that's really interesting, Matt. That standing up. I've done a number of those.
Yeah.
And I've learned now. I have to, a bit like you'll have your way of doing it. There's a question I want to ask you in a minute, because it's this a bit that would frighten me. And but so I've learned how to do it. I've learned to make sure I write my own words.
Right.
I speak this way. If somebody wrote something for me, it would be a disaster.
Yeah.
So I speak this way. I speak the way I'm talking to you. I write something, and I can. And I also know quite a few people in the room, often, because I've been here for so long. I've been, that I know people, and I know the way it's going to go, and I sort of get a few reactions anyway. And so I've got a way of doing it that I feel comfortable with. But it's interesting you say that. Now, the question. So I have been doing my own thing at Lock-In. I've done 100 videos of cooking videos, and I've loved it.
Okay.
How my food, and the big one's coming out. The 2-part series of my beef Wellington coming out. Anyway,
2 parts.
I've done 100. Well, I've done 99 and 100. I just ran out of steam. I should have done I said to somebody, I should have done so Captain Tom's 100 videos, 100 walks. I've digressed. The question I was going to come to with Saturday Kitchen is, number one, it's live.
Yeah.
Matt and Ollie relationship makes me. Hi, it's Matt and Ollie. So Julie, it's the Matt and Ollie relationship that makes it both like lovable schoolboys. So that's you two anyway. And I mean the nicest way. Well, anyway, sorry, Julie. It'd be a darn sight better if I put my glasses on and read these things. Right. So you're cooking live, which is interesting, because you are now up against time. And I'll give you one of the most perfect examples of that in a minute. Now, you have something in your ear as well, don't you?
Yeah.
So I presume people are talking to you while you're talking to them, while you're doing your Zooming, while you're cooking.
Yeah.
So that bit is a bit, and you do it very well now. I mean, you've done a few. How many shows have you done?
Oh, I've no idea. I've done it. I've probably done most of them for the last 2 years now. It's one of those things you get used to, really. But is that the question?
No, the question was, yes, how to cook live on whatever dish it is you're doing. 1, do you rehearse that dish? 2, if you don't, you just go in and give it a go. And
God, could you imagine? Yeah, go on.
On the basis of it's going to come out right, because I'm so good anyway. But with the piece in the ear and the time, it's quite a challenge, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And sometimes there's an overload, but I have a very, very good producer in a lady called Charlotte, who will sort of filter the necessary things that I need to hear, and she can tell when you're kind of drying up in conversation. So suddenly there'll be a question will come through, and I can either choose, depending on whoever I'm talking to and whatever answer they're giving, if it's something I want to kind of react to and go, oh, do you know what? That's really interesting because blah, 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 blah. Then I ignore it. Otherwise, if it's something really boring, then I can go straight in with another question. So you kind of learn to hear what you want to hear and filter out the rest. As for timings, do you know what? It's such a well-oiled machine, that show.
Yeah.
They've been doing it for 10 years or so. And so we go in on a Friday. Well, I'll go in. And very often I'm away in the week doing other stuff. So I'll write recipes on trains or planes and taxis and stuff like that. And you go, oh, this will be good and this will be good. Let's try this. Let's get excited. So you kind of over-deliver. And then you go in on a Friday and you look at it and go, Jesus, there is not a chance I'm going to be able to do this in, 5 minutes or whatever it is. So we go, right, we're losing that element. This element's going to be chopped. This is going to be done. And there's a fantastic home ec called Kayla Bowles. And she will look at it and goes, what are you thinking? And she's very straight. And she's the same with every chef that comes on. And they all generally love her because there is no nonsense. And that's what chefs like. They're used to it. They've grown up with that. They don't want to be pandered to. They want somebody to go, right, you are being whatever. I forget this is live. So what we do is we rehearse on the Friday. And then we go in early on Saturday and rehearse again. So by the time we do it live, it's the third run.
Oh, perfect. Oh, well, then that answers the question. By the way, there was some great. I've just got to go back down here if I can. Somebody said here. Mandy said men can't, and they say men can't multitask.
I know, fools, right?
There you go. Alma says she loves the show. So we've got some wonderful. Matt made the show his own. I couldn't imagine what it would be like with anyone else. Oh, this is very sweet. These are nice.
This is nice.
I did say to Lisa, this is a fun. That nobody said anything really nasty at all.
You wait.
So,
I can always upset somebody. Don't worry about that, Robert.
Well, yeah, we'll wait and see. So you will develop a dish, or you will see what you're going to cook, or you'll find it in a book, or you'll Google it, or whatever, and then you go in and you think, okay, I'm going to use that, and that. And then when you say, I'll just change some of the elements, as in I'll take bits of the ingredients, because it's going to take
Yeah, so we generally, the way it works is we do what they call back ref. So after the Rick Stein film, there'll be something usually related to where he's been or what he's been doing. So, for example, if he's used veal, I'll do a veal recipe. If he's used, I don't know, coriander, it'll be something around that. Or, like recently, there have been things that people want to see from the BBC Food website, the most searched for items, things like that. So we'll go, okay, and we'll tie that in. So that's that recipe. And then as far as the Heaven and Hells, which was the traditional way of doing it, go, the celebrity will send in a list of the things they like, the things they don't like, and I'll pick usually about 3 of each, and then make a dish out of that.
Right.
So that's how that works. I mean, I'm thinking now, I decided in my stupidity to make, do you know that little, I'm sure you do, that Sardinian, I believe it is, pasta, coglionis, is it? They're basically dumplings that you kind of weave.
I love a tiny bit of that. Just say that again.
Is it coglionis? I don't know. Somebody on here will be able to tell me.
Right.
So they're little kind of dumplings that they weave, and they're usually full of, I think, potato and some herb or something like that. And they're beautiful. And I thought, I'm going to give that a crack. Anyway, it was appalling. And so I was in pieces on the Friday rehearsals, and I thought, right, who's going to know this? So I phoned Gennaro Contaldo, because he just would know everything, and obviously he did. And then he taught me through it, and I practiced, and I made about 50 of these bloody things, so I could have 3 that look decent. So there's still a bit of smoke and mirrors that goes on with TV, because you make 50, you get a few good ones, so you can do then one just about, and then you reach for the others that you made the day before. So I mean, these things, they all take practice, but you have to, you make things up, but you have to practice them before you do them live. That's for sure. But things still go wrong, right?
But the other thing you've got to do as well, of course, is you've got to know what all the other chefs are cooking. Now, obviously, it's a little bit easier now because you've only got one or possibly two chefs in with you. But, you know, when you have, well, you always had two plus the other one. So you're doing, but you've got to know, because often you will remind the chef, oh, by the way, what about the basil, or what about the lemon, or what about, oh, sorry, I forgot about that. Yeah. So you've got to, now, is that an earpiece job, or is that you, or is it probably a bit of each, is it?
It's a bit of both, because we obviously rehearse the chef's recipes as well. So you look at what they're doing, and so you'll know that things need to be pulled out the fridge or into the oven or into the fryer and what have you. And sometimes, you know, the best chef in the world will forget, because it's human, right? And so yeah, so then it's my job to go, oh, you know, I'm saying Jason, could be anyone, go and, you know, pull that thing out the fridge or something like that. And yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be relaxed enough, like it's in your own kitchen, and hopefully it looks like that. You know, it's not starchy, it's not formal, we're not saving lives, right? We're cooking, it's relaxed, and we're showing you what you could do tonight. I mean, it's you know.
And it's only when you go back actually to when you do all the clips from the past, you actually realize how many different presenters. Obviously, James did his bit for years. Yeah. And actually, that brings me to my lovely little story. One of my dearest friends, and he's coming on live soon. He was due to be here on the 20th of July, but he's launching a new book, Thomas Keller. So
wow. Really?
I golf with Thomas. I was supposed to be with him in April. Yeah, I mean, he's the man, isn't he?
Yeah.
But of course, he did the classic with James, because I've been with Thomas many times. I played golf with Thomas. I've been on holiday with Thomas. Nothing is, what was that? Somebody said, what was that? I just said some of these things. Oh, what would your death row meal be? Okay, well, we'll come back in a minute. We'll come back to that one in a minute. I'm not worried. I did say nobody's asked anything too hard, but anyway, we'll come back with the death row. Not that they want anything to happen to you, Matt, or maybe even me. So, of course, Thomas did the famous clip, didn't he, where he did the omelette challenge.
Oh, right.
And he would not cook the omelette quickly.
And you know what? Good for him.
He would not do it. And it took him 5 minutes to do the omelette.
Yeah.
And James was saying, well, it's all but Thomas, you know, James. And then he bought some creme fraiche and some chai. And he had all this stuff coming out that he'd bought. And I have been with Thomas. And I tell you, you cannot put a cup of coffee in a cold coffee cup. I mean, it's that, everything is so. Hi, Freddie. Oh, no, Bob. No, I'm not. Oh, is that me? No.
You got a reputation, right?
Anyway, so that brings me to another question, just on finalising that bit of that. So is there a guest that you haven't had that you would really love to get on? Do you choose a guest, or?
Generally, I don't. I can suggest. I can have, you know, big dreams about who I have went on. Is there a guest? You know what? That's such a difficult question. I got very excited a couple of months ago because we almost had a guy called Harry Connick Jr. on. Now, I'm a big Harry Connick Jr. fan, so I probably would have wet myself. I mean, it turned out that he didn't come over to the country for whatever reason. I can't remember what it was. So it's probably best that I don't decide who comes on, because I'd probably be a bit pathetic in talking to them. What I love about that show is that it doesn't matter who you have. So the night before, I'll lock myself in a hotel room and you look at your research notes. You can go on YouTube. You can find out all sorts of things about them. And every now and again, you get a real gem. So it's in the back of your head, so you can sort of throw that in. But all those people are there for a reason. They're all, you know, famous to some level for a reason. And by and large, they're really interesting people. And it doesn't matter whether you've got some, you know, A-list actor. I can't think of any right now. which is why I'm much better with autocue. Or you've got some pop star that you've never listened to. You know, you can find something interesting in everyone, and that's what I enjoy, really.
And of course, they all love food. Everyone's loving food right now. Food.
Yeah.
Wonderful question here about if you could pick any chef, which of the chef you would like on that you haven't had on? And somebody also said, what about John Legend as a guest? Well, that would be a good one.
That would be good. Chef-wise.
As a guest. Another one. So there's all kinds of things. Listen, there's another name for me as well in the past. So I won't go there, Matt. But wife's name for me is Bobby Dazzler. There's all stuff going on. But chef, what chef would you have on?
Who would I have on? I had the pleasure of meeting David Chang in New York a few years ago. He's quite a rock star. I'm not sure you could trust him not to swear on live TV, but he was a lot of fun. I really liked him. Who else? I haven't had him on for a long time. Richard Corrigan.
Yeah.
He's great fun.
He's great.
And I've told him so he won't mind, but you wouldn't want to work for Richard. He'd terrify you. But, or maybe back in the 90s. But as a host, he is the perfect host. He is so much fun. I just think he's brilliant, and I think his food is incredible. Who else?
Somebody said here, you've got some message here. Gino, Fred, Gordon. That's probably the same person doing all of them.
Wow.
I think some of the, you get some amazing chefs on. I mean, Saturday Kitchen's had every chef in the world on over the years, I'm sure. And I think that when you're talking about the different elements that you have, hang on a second, why watch on the right? Oh, why is your watch on the right wrist?
It's very boring. It's a very boring thing. It's because this little sort of windy thing used to rub this side raw. So, I mean, there's nothing arty or cool about it. That's for sure. Oh, do you as well?
No, mine is in the normal place.
Oh, is it? Oh, right. I never used to wear a watch, and now as soon as I hit 40, I thought I better wear a watch. And just nobody under the age of 40 wears watches, I think, these days, unless they're Apple.
So I'm going to move. I'm going to look. This is fabulous. We've got your career. We've got the Saturday Kitchen. Do you do? That is the main TV role right now, of course, for you. But I imagine that takes up all the time anyway. If you have to do Friday, so you will leave. You'll obviously leave. You'll stay in London, I presume, then for Friday and Saturday, and then get back Saturday afternoon, I presume. Yeah,
I get back Saturday afternoon, and then most of the time I do this other thing on Channel 4 called Food Unwrapped, which works very nicely. It works hand in hand with that show because we go around the world looking at where food comes from and what goes into it, and little kind of, the quirks of food, I suppose. So every now and again you remember a fact and you can throw it out on the show. I remember I did one the other day about glacé cherries. We were talking about glacé cherries. And I remember that Britain eats something like 95% of the world's glacé cherries. And I remember going to the factory, and they take a beautiful cherry and then they bleach them. They bleach all the colour out of them, and then they turn them red again. And then they turn them red, or they turn them yellow. Some are green, majority are red, and then they make them sticky. So you learn sort of little facts like this, and I don't know. It just kind of, I think it adds to the show, really.
Yeah. No, I mean, all these sort of things. Listen, I pickled shallots the other day. I hadn't done that forever, so I don't know. I decided.
We all need a hobby, Robert. Golf and shallots.
I even videoed it. Listen, so you and Saturday Kitchen and the producer have been very kind to allow both Ching, who was on the other day,
yes,
who is lovely. In fact,
isn't she lovely?
She was on with you the other day.
Yeah.
And she talked about Young Chef, Young Waiter.
Yes, we did.
Which is my passion, my love.
And you set it up, did you?
Well, I didn't set it up. It's been going for 41 years.
Okay.
So Marcus Waring, who's been on with you, Mark Sargent, yeah. Nathan Outlaw, Adam Handling, are all, well, not all winners, I have to say. But look at One Direction. You don't have to win to be...
No, tell me about it.
But most of them won. They've all won it in the past. And then we have the Waiters Excel, which is really, really important because service is the key. And I'm on a real mission with this right now, Matt. And Theo Randall, who is with you as well, who was on last year.
Oh, I love Theo. He's, again, one of the nicest men in cooking. He's just great. And his food is incredible. So simple, but so delicious.
Yeah. And so he is the chairman of my judges overall in what we call UK Young Chef, Young Waiter. And last year he was on with you and he mentioned Young Chef, Young Waiter, and that was brilliant. But this year we've got two other elements, which is the Chinese and Southeast Asian element.
Yeah. Because
this year, more than any year, you know, has been tough, so tough for the hospitality industry. And there's some wonderful questions going on, and I can't ask them all, but I just want to talk about this to everybody. It's been so tough for the hospitality industry. So the competition that we revamped and restyled last year is all online for your application process and all online for the first round of judging. And then we do 2 days in November for the finals. But the reason that Ching, we're launching as in today, tomorrow, like just waiting for her to come back, is where we launched the Chinese and Southeast Asian section in the UK.
Right.
Which means that we now cover the Japanese and the Vietnamese and the Malaysian and all of that wonderful. And then with Enam Ali, who runs the Curry Awards, with Cyrus Todiwala and Atul Kochhar, doing the South Asian bit, which is the Indian, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal.
So nobody's slipping through the net?
No, well, I hope not. If I'm probably somebody going to say, well, what about Iceland?
Yeah, certainly.
Or the Nordics or somewhere, I don't know. It could be part of the European one, but it's absolutely fascinating. And I thank you and the BBC and Saturday Kitchen for allowing just that mention, because it's really important. But it really is important. This is a 26-year-old and under competition. You heard me talk about it at the gala. Yeah. If you remember.
It was early on, so yes, I did. Anything past 8:30, no.
And actually, what had happened, we're going to have to run out of time in a second. What had actually happened is that the competition on that evening, we got up on stage Expo 2020 in Dubai, and you saw the massive screens and all the big, because the Young Chef, Young Waiter competition was going to be showcased for Britain, for the UK, on the UK stand, showcasing hospitality, showcasing what we are in hospitality, which is a world leader. And it was such a, it was upsetting for us, but it's now all been re-geared for next year as well.
Right.
But we have carried on with the competition here this year.
Yeah.
And Mercedes, who I'm also seeing tomorrow, have given a car each, a Mercedes each to the winners for a year. So it's incredible prize. Yeah, you're just over 26.
By 20 years.
But don't go where I am. But fantastic, you know. So again, those little outlets that we can promote it through, you know. But the chefs that I have now on, and Richard Corrigan is running Young Chef, Young Waiter Ireland.
Is he?
So, well, he's
God help them.
The chief judge. So that'll be fun, won't it? I mean, you talked about being a bit careful, having the other chef on that you mentioned about, you know, you have to be careful about this, the language. I mean, Richard, but I love Dublin.
It makes him more entertaining, I would say.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying. We were in Dublin, myself and my wife were in Dublin, walking down. We decided to go to Bentley's in Dublin. I think that's closed, that particular one now. And Richard was in there. He said, "What are you doing here?" I was like,
or words to that effect.
No, yeah, I'm not. I think I need another drink. What are you doing here? And I said, well, we're looking for something to eat. Well, come in here.
Champagne.
Champagne.
Yeah.
12 oysters.
Yeah.
And chips and mayonnaise.
Nice.
Get any better than that?
Yeah.
Fabulous, fabulous. Anyway, I love Richard. We're going to run out of time.
Are we?
We are, because we only get an hour for this.
I'm just getting into this now.
But gone quick, isn't it? It's good fun, isn't it?
Couple of glasses down. You can ask me anything you want now.
Well, I promise it would all be absolutely lovely and relaxed, and there would be no tripping up. That's not what I do. One of the things I am going to ask you to do, working. We have the most beautiful little competition that's happening in August with the World Avocado Organization.
Yeah.
And I need you to prepare an avocado dish.
Okay.
And send it to us. Lisa can send it to us. You can video it. And the winning avocado. This is all the. There'll be.
Get a Mercedes. You and your Mercedes giveaways.
Get an S class. Yeah. No, you don't get Mercedes. What you do get.
What do you get? Box of avocados.
For your NHS, what the winning one is decided by the World Avocado Organization in the US. It's a lovely little competition. It's a bit of fun. All of the chefs are going to do it. All my chefs are going to do it. We give the NHS Trust 2,500 avocados to give through different hospitals or trusts and everything else. So it's just lovely.
Great. Okay.
Great way of. It's a wonderful win-win-win.
Yeah.
The chef produces a wonderful avocado dish. It gets posted all over Instagram. And the winning chef, whoever that may be, can I have a date with you, Dazzler? Oh, it's my wife. Yes, you can. We've got to go out.
She probably wants your attention. You're always on Instagram.
I'm on it all the time. I've got this. Matt, I'll send that to you. Just pop it on to us. That'll be brilliant to do.
Okay.
I've got Ainsley, all being well, on Tuesday.
Yeah.
On my live, which is fun, and Thomas Keller's coming on in a couple of, I think he's coming on in September now because he's got his new book out.
Okay. What time are you doing it with Ainsley? I'd like to see that. Do you know what? I didn't get a chance to speak to him at the Savoy, but I think that MBE was well deserved. I think he's a bit of a ledge, actually, old Ainsley.
Did you see when, again, I'll pop back to the gala, when I mentioned it, because he did that wonderful program about Gary Rhodes, didn't he? He narrated that lovely program with Gary Rhodes. And
yes, I did.
And when I said, congratulations, I mean, I know how it feels to have an MBE, which is rather nice.
Yes, you are. Congratulations.
Thank you, yes. But it is the most incredible honour when you get it, and Ainsley would have been just over the moon, and the whole room cheered and clapped, and he stood up, and it's, even I can see now how emotional it would be for him. It's emotional for all of us, So it was really lovely, and thank you for that. Thank you, and I'm sure he'll be. So all being well, I'm going to be in Greece next week. We have this plan may not work, but I'm going to be in Greece. You could have been doing this in Italy as well.
In Italy, yeah, we're off to Puglia.
My wife is really getting very carried away here. She said that she should have an MBE as well. Well, anyway, who knows? She's somewhere else. Matt, it's been absolutely brilliant. Thank you for sparing the time.
Robin, thank you so much. It was great. It's too quick. And thank you for the bottle. I shall enjoy that later once I've you clean up the kitchen. I've got to cater for what am I doing? Like some 15 teenagers tonight. So I've got to get my head around that. But anyway, hopefully they won't be bad behaved.
It's beautiful. You can all be outside doing your proper distancing, of course.
Exactly. Yes, quite right. Let's not forget that. No. Anyway, listen, Robin, thank you so much. It's been great spending the afternoon with you, as it were.
Fantastic. Lots of love.
Cheers. Take care. Bye, guys.